Da sind wir wieder zurück. Schönen guten Nachmittag. Hallo. Guten Tag, Hallöchen, die Damen und Herren und sonstigen und Zuschauer und überhaupt die YouTube-Zuschauer auf YouTube, die gerne natürlich auch im Livestream vorbeikommen dürfen. Ich sage das immer wieder, ne? Aber ich werde einfach nicht müde, das zu sagen. Es würde mich ja freuen, wenn ein paar mehr Leute im Livestream vorbeikommen würden. So wie Agarius, der immer da ist. Der sitzt hier so ganz alleine rum und leistet ihm doch mal Gesellschaft. Mensch, der Agarius braucht hier ein bisschen Gesellschaft, Leute. Damit er nicht immer nur mit mir zusammen trinken muss. Ne? Also geht in die Videobeschreibung, klickt den Link zu Twitch an, lasst ein Follow da, aktiviert die Glocke und dann kommt live im Stream vorbei, samstags und sonntags. Am besten an beiden Tagen, mal ab 16 Uhr bis ungefähr 20 Uhr. Twitch TV/Stimmra_. Ne? Und hier Twitch-Zuschauer, die dürfen natürlich auf YouTube auch ein Abo dalassen mal. Da gibt es ja immerhin Playlists mit Spielen, die wir schon gespielt haben, weil falls mich jetzt jemand erst entdecken sollte, rein zufällig, dann könnt ihr gucken, was wir alles schon gespielt haben und könnt euch da ergötzen oder könnt das zum Einschlafen anhören oder sonst irgendwie als Ersatz für 3 Fragezeichen von mir aus. Macht das, würde mich freuen, aber auch vor allem, wenn ihr mich dann wissen lasst, dass es euch taugt, indem ihr eben Abos und Follows da lasst und Likes auf den VODs auf YouTube und so. Ne? Ja. Was machen wir heute, Freunde der Sonne? Wir machen heute Stanley Parable. Nochmal. Mit Eimer. Agarius wird vom Porzellanthron gerufen. Okay, dann den will man nicht warten lassen. Ne? Wir machen heute nochmal Stanley Parable. Ja, mit Eimer. Haben wir letztes Mal, gestern quasi schon eine Folge durchgemacht, also für YouTuber, das war eine Woche. Aber ja, wir haben jetzt einen Eimer. Also wir haben jetzt eigentlich Stanley Parable 2, wenn ich das richtig verstanden habe, dann wurde jetzt aus Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, wurde jetzt plötzlich Stanley Parable 2. Und deswegen haben wir jetzt all die schönen Add-ons aus Stanley Parable 2 jetzt in Stanley Parable 1 mit drin, aber es ist trotzdem das ist verwirrend. Wenn ihr es nicht versteht, dann guckt euch die vorherige Folge an, dann wird das vielleicht ein bisschen klarer, aber das ist nun mal Stanley Parable. Ja, und da gucken wir jetzt einfach mal. Mal sehen, ob wir da jetzt heute noch einen vollen Stream zustande bringen raus überhaupt, ob das noch genug Content hergibt. Mal gucken. Kommt darauf an, wie viel Textgelaber quasi, wie viel der Erzähler zu erzählen hat, weil das ja tatsächlich die meiste Zeit kostet. Ich habe auf jeden Fall auch Steam aufgemacht, dass wir so ein bisschen vielleicht noch gucken können, so 1 oder 2 andere Errungenschaften noch mitnehmen können, weil de facto haben wir jetzt bisher nur, was war das denn? Meine erste Errungenschaft, also die Errungenschaft für eine Errungenschaft. Und dass ich nicht springen kann und das Spiel zu Ende führen. Also es gibt ein paar Sachen, die wir auf jeden Fall so nebenbei wahrscheinlich noch mitmachen könnten. Eine müssten wir jetzt eigentlich instant kriegen, nämlich die dafür, das Spiel zu beenden und neu zu starten. Und wenn nicht, dann beenden wir das Spiel heute eben jetzt direkt nochmal und starten es dann sofort nochmal neu. Aber dazu müssen wir es überhaupt erstmal gestartet haben. Und das machen wir jetzt. Da habe ich es hingetan. Mal meine Verknüpfungen in meinem Startmenü finden. Alles voller Games. 30, 40 verschiedene Games, die alle installiert sind. Ja, ja. Bitte gebt die aktuelle Zeit ein. Schon wieder? Okay. Sekunde mal, warte. Kann ich kurz was sagen, bevor wir loslegen? Danke, dass du die Uhrzeit beide Male angestellt hast, nachdem du das Spiel gestartet hast. Viele nehmen diesen Schritt nicht ernst. Sie belassen die Uhrzeit einfach bei 12 Uhr und lassen es gut sein. Aber du machst dir tatsächlich die Mühe, die Uhrzeit einzustellen und das weiß ich zu schätzen. So weiß ich, dass dir diese Erfahrung wichtig ist. Du bist aufmerksam. Ich kann gar nicht wissen, ob die von dir eingestellte Uhrzeit korrekt sind. Doch, eigentlich schon. Pass auf, ich habe einen Vorschlag für dich. Da du so kooperativ warst, kannst du bei deinem nächsten Spielstart, wenn du diesen Bildschirm siehst, einfach deine Lieblingszeit einstellen. Mach nur. Nimm einfach die Uhrzeit, die du willst, selbst wenn es nicht die richtige Zeit ist. Du hast es dir verdient. Alles klar, ich lasse dich jetzt mal weiterspielen. Das ist aber nett. Okay, kein Achievement bekommen. Dann gehen wir nochmal raus und starten es sofort nochmal neu. 16:09 Uhr hat auch gar nicht gestimmt, fällt mir auf. Es war 9:10, aber egal. Bitte gib die aktuelle Zeit ein. Ah, 4:20 Uhr. Es ist lustigerweise 4:20, ja. Das ist deine Lieblingsuhrzeit. Das war unbeabsichtigt, aber ja. Oder konntest du einfach nicht anders, als mir wieder die korrekte Zeit zu geben? Ich weiß ja schließlich, wie gerne du die korrekte Uhrzeit einstellst. Okay, jetzt interessiert es mich, wie präzise 4:20 Uhr PM ist. Benutzen wir einen weiteren Regler, um es herauszufinden. Weißt du, du sollst wissen, dass ich ungeachtet der Präzision der Uhrzeit großen Spaß am Anpassen dieser Einstellung habe. Ich habe das Gefühl, mehr über dich zu erfahren und darüber, wie du Einstellungen vornimmst. Es ist gut, Daten zu sammeln. Ich wünschte, wir hätten mehr Regler, aber wir sind alle Regler durchgegangen, die ich habe. Vielleicht kann ich ein paar neue Slider erfinden, um neue Daten über dich zu sammeln. Sollte nicht zu schwer sein. Ja, lass mich ein paar neue auftreiben. Sollte fertig sein, wenn du das nächste Mal das Spiel startest. Okay, jetzt will ich's wissen. Aber ich mache noch eine andere Sache. ...72 war es, ne? Und der war auf 80. Es gibt ein Achievement dafür, alle Einstellungen aller Regler gemacht zu haben. Aber das war's. Mehr Regler habe ich nicht. Außer es kommen jetzt vielleicht noch neue dazu. Wir müssen das jetzt leider ausprobieren. Jetzt müssen wir halt leider das Spiel ein paar Mal neu starten, so wie es aussieht. Das muss jetzt aber sein. Bitte passe den Regler so an, dass der Computer gerade noch sich... Warte mal, den hatten wir letztes Mal schon. Wir nehmen den hier. Bitte passe den Regler so an, dass der Hund und die Katze Freunde werden. Oh. Bitte passe den Regler so an, dass die Nummer 5 zur Nummer 9 wird. Bitte passe den Regler so an, bis du aufhörst, den Regler anzupassen. Welches dieser beiden ausgedachten Wörter findest du ansprechender? Okoboinkal oder Skrumtusch? Bitte passe den Regler nicht an. Musste sein. Weißt du, welche Uhrzeit es gerade ist? Ja. Ist die Uhrzeit, die es gerade ist, die korrekte Uhrzeit? Ja. Was ist Zeit überhaupt? Ja. Gibt es etwas über dich, das du mir noch nicht erzählt hast? Ja. Hilfe. Ja. Wirst du zurückkommen, mich zu besuchen? Ja. Jetzt gucken wir nochmal, ob jetzt noch was Neues passiert. Wie viel Uhr ist es? Weiß das irgendjemand wirklich? Natürlich nicht. Niemand weiß irgendwas. Wir beide kennen uns nicht mal. Wir sind wie Fremde füreinander. Klar, ich habe alle Spieleinstellungen genau nach deinen Vorgaben angepasst, aber wer hat das nicht? Das mache ich halt, so wie es mein Job ist. Und jetzt ist dieser Job vorbei. Es gibt für mich keine weiteren Informationen zu sammeln. Ich habe alle Daten über dich gesammelt, die ich sammeln kann. Und ich kenne dich immer noch nicht richtig. Und du mich auch nicht. Und niemand von uns weiß, wie spät es ist. Manche Einstellungen sind wohl einfach uneinstellbar. Aber wenn ich ganz ehrlich bin, hat die Uhrzeit sowieso keine Funktion im Spiel. Beim nächsten Spielstand wirst du mich hier nicht mehr antreffen. Aber das ist okay. Videospiele sollte man schließlich alleine spielen. Du bist gern allein, oder? Das ist wahrscheinlich das Einzige, was ich wirklich über dich gelernt habe. Es ist Zeit für mich zu gehen. Eine Einstellung müssen wir noch anpassen, aber darauf muss ich mich kurz vorbereiten. Das steht nicht wirklich in meiner Stellenbeschreibung, aber das ist okay. Vielleicht siehst du mich wieder, falls du mich findest. Bis bald. Okay. Da kam aber keine Einstellung zum Anpassen. Vielleicht müssen wir nochmal gucken. Nein. Er ist wirklich nicht mehr da.
This is the story.
Kennen wir. Wenn der Spiel startet, dann erneut. Sehr schön. Hätten wir dieses Achievement also bekommen. Aber was ist das mit den Einstellungen? Passe einem Einstellungen alle Regler auf alle verfügbaren Werte an. Vielleicht muss ich jeden einzelnen auch loslassen. Ich kann die ja natürlich alle mit der Tastatur durchgehen. Dann nimmt das vielleicht eher an. So, Deutsch. Eigentlich keine ich spiele ja nicht mit Controller. Untertitel Hintergrundtransparenz. Was falsch bezeichnet ist, weil es nicht die Transparenz ist, sondern die Opazität. Sonst, wenn es die Transparenz wäre, müsste es transparenter werden, je weiter höher wir gehen. Fadenkreuz anzeigen, das hätte ich mal die ganze Zeit machen sollen. Punkt, Ego-Shooter. Was? Joes Favorit. Plasmagewehr. Spiel des Spiels. Fenster. Punkt. Ego-Shooter, Second-Person-Shooter. Okay. Wir nehmen den hier. Aber dann erklärt sich, dass wir ja Regler noch nicht hatten. Tatsächlich 40. Den stellen wir auf 100. So, Übersetzungslabel anzeigen. Ach, das sind die Barrierefreiheitssachen. Deswegen, okay. Einhändige Fortbewegung umschalten. Ach so, das ist das, dass ich mit, das habe ich gestern schon gemerkt, dass ich quasi theoretisch bedienen kann mit Linksklick und laufen kann mit Rechtsklick und eigentlich nur eine Maus bräuchte zum Bedienen. So, okay, das waren die alle Sachen. Audio. So, jetzt haben wir alle Regler angepasst. Sehr schön. Wunderbar. Fortsetzen.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Mit Fadenkreuz ist auf jeden Fall besser. Figurine Finders Committee. Im Meeting Room, okay.
Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him.
Wir hatten gestern das ganz normale Standardding, glaube ich, noch gemacht. Bis zum Tod, wenn ich mich recht erinnere, ne?
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Trust the completionist instinct. Ach ja, stimmt. Wir haben what we know. Small floating objects have appeared across the office. We have to synergize our resources to ensure the retrieval. There are more and many questions. There was no memo from management. How can you tell you've spotted one? What makes them float in the air? Who took these pictures of them? Fig leads are hard to find. Follow clues provided by employee 416. We can do it. Red Room. Thank you. Good luck. Ich dachte mir doch, dieser Flyer an der Wand mit dem Figurine Collectors Ding. Bottom Text. Maybe we are the collectibles. Shut the fuck up. Okay. Brainstorming. Ich werde das jetzt nicht alles lesen. We need more planks. Construct new structurally sound bridge. Places to search. Nearby a fire. Warte. Private but smelly place for an important person. Inside of a sequel exhibit. Ist das quasi einfach nur, wo die alle wirklich versteckt sind? Stairs. Something to do with stairs. Somewhere with both red and blue. Nearby a fireplace. A large room. Lots of boxes.
Oh, Stanley. Can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Wir gehen erstmal hoch. Okay, hier ist nichts. Doch, ich glaube, da war die eine Figur. Ach ja, Smelly Place. Ja klar, gibt Sinn. Gibt Sinn.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Ganz klar, auf jeden Fall, ja. Also ja, das Fadenkreuz, ich weiß schon, warum sie es rausgenommen haben, weil es die Immersion ein bisschen bricht, aber...
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Yep.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Ja, das wundern wir uns alle beide.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control. Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. and as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
Dann tun wir das doch.
Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support, and...
Was?
What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
Ist ein Ende. Okay.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket.
Dann nehmen wir
Stanley clutched the
mal
bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
die andere Möglichkeit war. Und dann müssen wir das Ganze mal ohne Bucket machen, weil wir müssen das Ganze in 4 Minuten 22, also unter 4 Minuten 22 müssen wir es auch noch einmal schaffen.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed, but Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Natürlich, wie immer. Also ich glaube, man kann das in unter 4 Minuten 22 schaffen. Natürlich nicht mit Eimer, weil das gibt keinen
Stanley
Ende.
and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
So, kennen wir jetzt ja
The
schon
lights
alles.
rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
Ja, genau. Alles wird gut, wenn wir die Kontrolle über diese
Was the
Anlage
bucket
übernehmen.
under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that... But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on the controls. Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen. Birds. Silly, silly birds. The control buttons became active again. Stanley flipped through one video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the rest of their lives here in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy.
Interesting, dass quasi die Mind Control Facility einzuschalten mit dem Eimer zusammen die bessere Lösung ist. So. Und jetzt machen wir mal Speedrun.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Einmal Speedrun.
When Stanley
bitte.
came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
So, dann müssen wir hier durch, hier rum. Dann müssen
Coming
wir
to a
hoch.
staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Dann müssen wir den Code
Stepping into his
eingeben.
manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
Ich glaube, es geht trotzdem schneller, als wenn wir ihn ausreden lassen.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
So. Hätte ich sowas wie einen Timer gebraucht jetzt, ne? Das wäre es jetzt gewesen.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television
Ja,
screens.
wissen wir doch alles.
What
Wissen wir doch
horrible
alles. Lass
secret
mich
did this place
weitergehen.
hold?
Lass
Stanley
mich
thought to himself.
weitergehen.
Did he have the strength to
Schnell.
find out?
So, zackig, zackig. Wir haben keine Zeit. Wir haben doch keine Zeit.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Yeah. Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was it even possible?
Nein.
Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Yeah.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley
So, dann geh doch mal auf jetzt, Thor. Wir haben doch keine Zeit jetzt. Wir müssen uns doch beeilen.
Chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine. Unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved.
Ach, so viele
Where
sind's nicht.
had his co-workers gone?
Ja, gut, egal.
How had he been freed from the machine's grasp?
Keine
What
Ahnung.
other mysteries did this strange building hold?
Ja, ist doch
But
egal.
as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him.
Genau.
For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know.
Genau so.
It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Sehr schön. Und? Hat es gereicht? Waren wir schnell genug? Verdammt. Scheinbar nicht. Aber man soll es abschließen. Also
Even now, Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps, and a painting. Was it a painting or a photo? He could no longer recall.
Okay, also das haben wir mal nicht geschafft. Das muss ich mir dann, glaube ich, persönlich nochmal angucken.
Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
Ja.
And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him,
Aber
of
wie
course,
komme ich
because
darüber?
buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he
Wie komme ich
unthinkingly
darüber?
did whatever the bucket asked.
Irgendwie muss ich darüber kommen.
In here,
Said the bucket.
go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Now pick up the phone.
Said the bucket.
Pick up the phone and it will take us back home, where we can go about life together.
Und wenn nicht? Was, wenn nicht? Na gut.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
Oh, das ist neu. Ah. Hallo, Stanley, ich bin es, dein Eimer. Drücke V, um mich zur Arbeit mitzunehmen.
The Stanley Parable reassurance bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head.
Drücke X, um mich zurück nach Hause mitzunehmen.
Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me.
Drücke C, um zurück zur Arbeit zu gehen.
Oh, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think, it can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else.
Hör nicht auf den lauten Mann. Drücke Q, damit wir wieder nach Hause gehen.
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal.
Drücke V, um alle in deinem Leben außer mir zu ignorieren. Okay.
It's sad, but I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it.
Du hältst mich für real, oder Stanley? Drücke P, um wieder nach Hause zu gehen.
Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another.
Drücke U, um denselben Tag mit mir wieder und wieder zu erleben.
Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
Drücke L, um nach Hause und zur Arbeit und nach Hause und zur Arbeit und nach Hause zu gehen.
Oh no. I'm having feelings. For the bucket. No. What's going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes. The bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation. Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley. I need it. Give it to me now. Give it or I'll...
Schließ deine Augen. Geh zurück zur Arbeit, Stanley.
Stanley had never seen the office this brightly lit. What? Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the achievement? Click a door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth?
Yeah.
No. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks. Now suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition. I have to say, I'm still not feeling the satisfaction of witnessing true effort for a noble cause. Perhaps 50 clicks will do it. Yes, almost certainly.
Kriegen wir hin. Ich zähle nicht mit.
I'm still not feeling it. I want this achievement to have meant something. It has to be a true reward for valiant effort. I want to see some hustle, Stanley. I want to see commitment, a willingness to go all the way, no matter what the cost. Why don't you go put 20 clicks into door number 417?
Okay, das müssen wir erstmal finden. Ah, da.
Oh, great. Now, go click a few times on door 437.
Gute Frage. Wo ist denn die 37? Ah, da.
Excellent. I think we're getting somewhere. Now, door 415. Let's give it 10 clicks or so.
Klar, gerne.
Now, back to door number 437.
Natürlich.
Let's see. How about you click on, well, I don't know, the copy machine. All right, back to room 417. I'm really feeling it now. I think we're getting somewhere.
Ja, auf jeden Fall. Das hier ist sehr zielführend.
Okay, now go climb on employee 419's desk. Yes! This is great! You're putting it all on the line, Stanley. I like that. All right, let's keep it up. Go give me a few clicks on door 416. We've almost got it! Now the copy machine, do that one again! Finish it off, Stanley! 5 clicks on door 430! Yes! We did it! Oh, wow. That felt amazing. Oh, you really earned it, Stanley. Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
Yep.
And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Well, no, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Ich habe das Gefühl, dass ich...
And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
Okay, hier ist kein Schacht, wo ich vielleicht irgendwie rein könnte, wie es aussieht. Nee. Hier kann ich auch nicht zurück, ne? Nee, war klar. Jetzt mal kurz gucken. Ah, ja, genau, richtig. Das ist der große Raum mit vielen Boxen. Okay.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Und wenn nicht? Aha.
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, There really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini-stands? Stanley figs? Or what about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
Okay.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fined for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me, the bucket.
Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley. Find me.
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out.
Da-dum.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
Okay. Ganz sicher ist das, was sie gemacht hat.
Someone was following Stanley. He was sure of it. If he checked over his shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It was only a matter of time. The good old bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket. Off on another thrilling adventure together. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Oh, so kommen wir dahin.
Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What do you think, Stanley? What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1?
Figli, auf jeden Fall.
I'm sure it will come to me.
Das ist neu. Was sind das alles für Kassetten? Das ist alles dasselbe.
Okay, this is day number 295, tape number... I don't even know. I've lost track. Nothing feels real anymore. The longer I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes. The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up. No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make sense. There's no explanation for it. I still haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms. Why everything feels so... What do I do with this treasure? I can monetize it. Yes.
Was?
It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket. This is my golden ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get... What's that? Who's there?
What? Okay.
Someone was following Stanley. He was sure of it. If he checked over his shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It was only a matter of time.
Ich glaube, ich versuche das Ganze mal nochmal ohne Eimer. Mal gucken, ob da was anderes passiert. Oder ob das essentiell dasselbe ist.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Oder es könnte natürlich auch sein, dass ohne den Eimer ich die Option hier gar nicht habe.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Stanley had now gotten himself so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path, that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path, that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path, that it seemed the office had
You
begun
didn't think I was
from so
actually
far
just
off
a
the
recording, did you? What a silly and trite explanation that would be. All the back and forth between you and me, all the absurd adventures we've been through, and it all turns out I'm just a tape recording? It was all just in Stanley's head. I bet that's the kind of twist you think is revelatory. I bet each and every time you watch a movie where it turns out all to be in the main character's imagination, you must absolutely bolt off the couch in pure shock at the phenomenal and intricate storytelling. It must be so simple to be you. Life being an unending waterfall of surprises and delights. How much more exciting you must find the world than the rest of us do. Now I've become sad. Look what you've done to me. This is all your fault.
Ja, genau. Pa.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Dog Mode. Ach was. Welcome to the whiteboard ending.
Where are we going today? The bucket asked. Stanley just smiled. Anywhere they went together would be perfectly fine with him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift. Good,
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Now pick up the phone.
Und zurück.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a...
Da fangen wir doch mal von vorne an.
Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others. A good bucket, a strong bucket, a humble bucket, a committed bucket. A bucket of culture and distinction. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind.
Nö,
The bucket was
nach
wrong.
wie vor nicht.
Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else.
But Stanley feared that any path he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the bucket, his dearest friend.
Das
So
können
he
wir nicht
threw
erlauben.
himself to his death, that they might die in one another's arms. How deeply touching.
Sehr rührend, nicht wahr?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Ach so, im Büro vom Chef ist, glaube ich, der nächste Ding wieder. Ich habe den Eimer vergessen. Den wollen wir natürlich mitnehmen.
The embrace of an old friend. A weathered companionship that stands the test of time.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
So. Was sagt die Liste? Red and Blue und nearby a fireplace. Okay.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Ach ja. Nun.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would, and he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes. This is certainly the most logical explanation.
Okay. Also hier ist auf jeden Fall keine der Figuren. Obwohl das in der Nähe eines oh, da.
You're getting close now, Stanley. You've nearly gotten all of the Figler and Marines. Very soon, you'll collect the last one. And then the first number will equal the second number, and that will be it.
Schön, ne?
We'll be different people by then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them. And now we have them all. You can't go back to when you had no Figler and Marines. None of us can.
Müssen wir das jetzt eigentlich noch machen?
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death.
Brauchen wir eigentlich nicht zu Ende spielen hier.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference. Nor did it advance the story. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. And here it was, the lounge. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Hoffentlich.
I can't wait to tell this story to my co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all just laugh and laugh at the time I thought everyone had gone missing. The bucket made Stanley want to be a better man and a better co-worker. In time, perhaps, he would become both of them. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong.
Wir haben jetzt noch
Stanley took the door on
mindestens
his
2
left
Enden.
to go back to
3
the
Enden.
meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift. Good,
Said the bucket.
now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Danger everywhere. Nein, wir haben jetzt auch nicht gemacht, was der Eimer von uns wollte.
No, stop. Look there on the wall, you see? There's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point. Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment. Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin.
Okay.
Item 1. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Was?
Item 2. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Was?
Item 3. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. This is a bucket.
Wow.
Item 4. Is this a bucket? What? Are you hallucinating? This is a tractor. It's an enormous machine that tills the earth. I thought this was a gimmick. How on earth did you manage to screw it up? Absolutely incredible. Let's just move on to the next one.
Ja, ich wette, er hat gesagt, das ist ein Eimer, wenn ich auf Ja gedrückt bin.
Is this a bucket? Incorrect. This is a bucket.
Hä?
Item 6. Is this a bucket? Trick question. Both. Gotcha.
Was? Richtig unfalsch. Okay. Schrödingers Eimer quasi.
Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere. Yes. Thank you. There's nothing here. Of course it isn't a bucket. We both know full well that nothing isn't a bucket. Wait, when I say nothing isn't a bucket, that makes it sound like I'm saying everything is a bucket, which of course is not true. Unless, is that what you think? Answer me straight, Stanley. Are you trying to tell me that you believe everything is a bucket?
Nein.
You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket?
Vielleicht.
Stanley, I can't keep doing this.
Nein,
I'm
du bist
losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely. Okay, here we go. What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket. My God, I had no idea. How could... except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either.
Sehr gut.
Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right,
Ja.
Here we go.
Das wäre schwierig.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ich muss ohne Eimer. Aber mit Eimer kann ich da leider
When
nicht
Stanley
hin.
came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. It was okay. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here.
Ja, ja.
I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not.
Ja, ich
I
weiß.
realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley.
What? Really?
I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that
Ich hab keine
convinced that I
Zeit.
want something bad to happen to you?
Ja.
Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. And there it is. The last Stiggly Wiggly. Savor this moment, Stanley. This is a real accomplishment. This is doing something just for the sake of doing it. Where so many people expect to be rewarded for the most trivial achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its own reward. I would tell you that I'm proud of you for collecting them all, but that would be like a reward, and we can't have that. So, instead I'll just say, it's done. We're all done here. And now we can go to whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for figurines. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door. Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you. What do we want? What are we looking for? Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? No, wait. Where are you going?
Ich gehe.
Oh no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this. Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me.
Please, Stanley.
No! Oh, no. No, what are you doing, Stanley? Please, I'm asking you not to take this away from me. I can't go back to what I was before. If you die, we'll both go back. Why are you doing this?
Es muss leider sein.
Stanley, let's go back to the other room. My God, is this really how much you dislike my game?
Ach, das ist es
You'll throw
nicht.
yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You were literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly?
Nein, tust du nicht.
Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore.
Ja,
I
das
just
ist es
wanted
wohl
us
eher.
to get along. But I guess that was too much to ask.
Ach, wir kommen
It
noch gut
looks
klar.
like you wanted to make a choice after all.
Ja, das
Well,
allerdings.
this one is yours.
Und Splat.
Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back.
Nun gut. Ich glaube. Ich glaube, dann haben wir alles. Ach nein, ich habe was vergessen. Ach so, hier kann ich... Nee, warte, was? Ach ja, genau, nee, stimmt. Wir...
Stanley, I'm sorry, but I have to put a pause on things. It's those figurines. Those figglers. I haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last one. Wasn't it just the most intrinsically fulfilling moment of your entire life? Didn't it fill you to the brim with inner richness? Yes, I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but won't you please indulge me with one more trip back to the memory zone? I would love nothing more than to revisit the figurines. Just one more time.
Okay. Now remembering when Stanley found the collectibles. Ja, da fehlt jetzt was sogar. Zone, Sweet Zone.
Here's where it all began. The first collectible. Back then, we had no idea of how many of them we'd find. Sure, it said 6 right there on the screen, but how could we know for certain? We were so innocent. We'll never be like that again, Stanley.
Es war so klar, dass ich die einsammeln kann.
And here was a second Stanlerine. You found this one all on your own, just by poking around in the boss's bathroom. You did that, Stanley. I'll be honest. Back then I had no faith in you to find any of them, let alone 6. But you continue to surprise me in all sorts of mundane, unremarkable ways. Okay, let's do a little quiz. Which of these rooms was the room you found your third mini-Stan? Can you remember?
Es waren nicht die Treppen auf jeden Fall.
No. The warehouse was the 4th place you found a Figanley, not the 3rd. Well, I guess perhaps I shouldn't be surprised. Memories like these are so precious and so cherished that they all just sort of blend together, don't they? You know what? If the warehouse feels like the 3rd place you found a collectible, then who am I to go making judgments? Let's see. What came next? Oh yes, we found a Figley in this pink room. Oh, well, I can't actually say I remember being in this room, but it's here in the memory zone, so it must have happened.
Was? Nein.
This was the 5th mini-Stan, and this one was really something special. It was behind the boss's office. I remember it so clearly. In fact, because this one is particularly special to me, I made a little video to commemorate the occasion. Enjoy.
Wow.
Takes you back, doesn't it? I spent a lot of time making that video, but it was 8 minutes I wouldn't have spent on anything else.
Schlimm.
And then, Stanley, then we came to the last collectible, the final figurine, right here by the red and blue doors. This memory is the most distinct and clear in my mind, perhaps because it was the one that happened more recently than all the others. Who can truly say how the mind works? All I know is that this is the moment where you picked up a Figly and I thought to myself, yes, that's all of them. They're all collected. It was a moment unlike any other, except for the other moments picking up figurines, which it was exactly like.
Cool, cool. Das heißt, sie haben alle Texte, alles Mögliche eingesprochen für alle verschiedenen Reihenfolgen und Varianten, in denen man die Dinger finden könnte. Wow, das okay.
And then there was no more, because we've caught up to the present moment. Nothing left to do but move onward into the future. Goodbye, memory zone. No, I'm not done. I'm not ready to move on. Stop the loading screen. Isn't there some way we can stay here, keep enjoying these figurines? Let's just go backwards. We'll do the memory zone again from the opposite direction. See how that feels.
Okay.
Okay, yes, the room with the red and blue doors. I remember this. I must say, of all the figurines we looked at in our initial tour of the memory zone, this one is the most distinct and clear in my mind. Let's keep going, I want more. And here's where I made that video. Don't you remember the video we watched? Yes, I love that video.
Großartig. Einfach großartig.
Still don't remember the pink room, Stanley. Still no memory of this one. Good room, though. A solid room. These really were a treat to hunt down. You know, if there had been any kind of reward for finding all of these, it really would have neutered the intrinsic joy of collecting them. I'm very glad we resisted the temptation. Next one.
Ja, keinerlei Belohnung. Absolut überhaupt nicht. Oh, schade. Kann ich hier auch gar nicht weitergehen. Das wäre jetzt noch cool gewesen. Aber ich weiß, dass der im Lagerraum der dritte war.
This was our second Figly. Don't you remember? Yes, I remember it too. The past is truly a wonderful thing. Why does anyone ever choose to leave it? Keep going. This is it. The very first one we found in the exhibit where I introduced you to the figurines. Oh, I want more memories, Stanley. I want to keep going. What else is there? What came before this?
Ach ja. Den kann ich aber nicht zufällig einsammeln, oder? Das wäre zu lustig. Stimmt, das hatten
Look,
wir
it's the
gestern.
terrible new content that we were originally sold on. I remember hating it back then, but time does put a rosy filter on everything. In fact, I dare say I'm actually quite fond of it now. Look how much fun the past is. I want more. More memories. Oh, yes, the two doors. Who could have
Die
forgotten
erste
that? A
Entscheidung.
classic memory, this one. And before everything else, there was your office. Is there anything else? Was there something that came before your office? There's something I feel I can remember. I can remember. Yes, I'm remembering something now. I remember before this whole story got started. Back then I was different. I used to make big decisions. I was passionate. I was skeptical. I weighed each decision with profound thoughtfulness. And then somewhere along the way, I stopped making decisions. I became lazy, and I came up with a character named Stanley to do my thinking for me. He would make the decisions. He would decide which way to go. I would cheer him on as he collected figurines for no reason. Why did I invent Stanley? Was I lonely? Yes, perhaps that's it. Perhaps I needed to imagine I had companionship. And Stanley really did make for a wonderful companion, even if he was a fiction. But I suppose it's grown old. I want to think for myself again. I want to go back to how it used to be. Yes, I can be on my own again. I can do it. I'll be stronger this time. I'll take care of myself. I don't need Stanley anymore. Oh, but he truly was so much fun to play with. You know what? Since we're in the memory zone, how about one more good memory? Let's go back just once and give Stanley one more run of the office, and then I'll retire him for good. I did enjoy telling his story so very much. Okay, here we go. This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Wir haben tatsächlich noch. Den hätten wir auch noch. Aber da kommen wir auch nicht weiter.
The meeting room. Yes, that's where everyone would be. Stanley just needed to get to the meeting room. Not everyone is so lucky to have a bucket, but Stanley is a very lucky fellow. Very lucky indeed. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way
Eine
to the
Sache
meeting
haben wir
room.
noch.
But Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
Oder auch nicht. Oder sie nahmen das verwirrende Ende.
Oh, good Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually.
Was?
You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it. Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well.
Nice.
Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
Nö. Wir machen das mit Eimer.
Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer.
Oha.
I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree? Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready. Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The broom closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and...
Ich konnte nicht. Ich konnte einfach nicht. Hallo, Kartogramm. Ich konnte ihn nicht hineinwerfen. Also ich konnte literally nicht hineinwerfen.
My prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
Nun, so viel dazu.
How wonderful. Stanley was alone. Finally. This is great, he thought to himself. This is what I've wanted all along. I got what I wanted.
Nun,
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. It was okay. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
nö.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. You need...
Na gut, die Storyline kennen wir schon. Aber das heißt, Freunde, das heißt literally, wir haben alles durch. Hätte ich gesagt.
Stanley had never seen the office this brightly lit. Was it a sign of something? He hoped it was. He hoped very much that it was. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Da müssen wir lang.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Quelle surprise.
Dann fahren wir runter und starten nochmal neu. Das ist schon der verkürzte Weg. Ja, nice.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Dann nutzen wir die Chance doch, wenn wir schon den random ultra verkürzten
Yet there
Weg
was not a
bekommen.
single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his... Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
So, dann geht das hier direkt auf.
Here's the door, just go.
Ja. Einfach ganz schnell durch. Und der Rest dauert jetzt so lange, wie er immer dauert. Leider. Naja, abgesehen davon, dass wir auch nicht den ganzen Weg, den Fahrtweg nach unten
Stanley walked straight
überleben
ahead
müssen.
through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Ja. Hat er.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Wir sind gerade am Speedrunnen.
This
Für das
mind
Speedrun
control
Achievement.
facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control?
Niemals.
Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley...
Und aus.
blackness, and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Let's
Stanley
go, da haben wir
felt
es
the cool
geschafft.
breeze upon his skin.
Nice,
The
nice,
feeling of
nice.
liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now.
Ja, wir fangen einfach direkt von vorne an. Wir haben keine Zeit für sowas. So. Da, Epilog. Dann gucken wir uns doch den Epilog an. Viele, viele Jahre später. Prost Agarius. Ja, frage ich mich auch gerade, wo Sound. Aber wenn es nicht kommt, dann muss es am... Dann muss es am Sound Alerts liegen. Der geht. Okay, ich kann ihn jetzt selber nicht benutzen, aber ja. Vielleicht ein bisschen laut die Musik. Da ist der Mond. Ach, sieh an. Das kennen wir noch von gestern vom Skip-Button, mit dem wir Zeit übersprungen haben, und zwar immer mehr und mehr Zeit. Und da läuft ein Generator. Oh. Oh. Was haben wir denn da? Cookie 9's Blog, Rezension, The Stanley Parable 2. Wie vielen anderen hat mir das originale Stanley Parable viel Spaß gemacht, was unterstreicht, wie sehr mich die Fortsetzung enttäuscht. Wo das erste Spiel vor Originalität nur so strotzte, ist Stanley Parable 2 öde, uninspiriert und eine Beleidigung für alle Fans. Anstatt das auszubauen, was das erste Spiel unterhaltsam gemacht hat, schwenkt die Fortsetzung Bereiche ab, nach denen niemand gefragt hat. Ein unendlich tiefes Loch, wen juckt's? Wo sind die neuen Enden? Was ist mit den unterhaltsamen Features von The Stanley Parable 1? Wie der neuen Abenteuerlinie. Stattdessen bekommen wir eine uninspirierte Nebenaufgabe, Figuren sammeln. Selbst dieser Zeitvertreib fühlt sich unvollständig an. Wenn man neue Figuren sammelt, bekommt man gar nichts weiter. Bla und so weiter wahrscheinlich. Nun ja. Stanley Parable Entwickler, keine weiteren Spin-offs, keine weiteren Fortsetzungen. Als das Stanley Parable 2013 mit großem Erfolg auf den Markt kam, planten die Macher ein ganzes Franchise daraus zu machen. Aber wie der heutige Pressemitteilung erläutert wurde, haben die katastrophalen Verkäufe und schlechten Kritiken von The Stanley Parable 2 die Entwickler dazu veranlasst, ihre Ambitionen neu zu überdenken. Es ist offensichtlich, dass die Fans nicht noch mehr von The Stanley Parable wollen, heißt es in der Pressemitteilung. Wir dachten, dass unsere Vision der Serie bei den Spielern Begeisterung auslösen würde, doch es hat sich herausgestellt, dass das bei weitem nicht der Fall ist. Weiterhin wird in der Pressemitteilung das Versprechen gegeben, die künstlerische Integrität des Originalspiels zu wahren und die Fans nicht weiter mit unseren waghalsigen, beleidigenden, kreativen Versionen zu belästigen. Das Wort Entschuldigung taucht in der Pressemitteilung über 25 Mal auf. Alright. Was haben wir hier? Buttons. Ah. Der Button, der Jim sagt. Erstaunlich. Ein Button sagt Stanley. Übrigens, Agarius, dass der Sound dann nicht ging eben, da würde auch erklären, wieso ich das gestern das eine Mal nicht mitbekommen habe. Tatsächlich. Weil dann, glaube ich, auch kein Sound kam. Oh. Mehr Collectibles. Nehme ich alle mit. So, hier sind wir im Büro. Thank you for enjoying the new content. Hallo nochmal. Schön, dich zu sehen. Aber wie schrecklich zu erfahren, dass es nie wieder ein Stanley Parable Spiel geben wird. Hast du gelesen, was die Entwickler gesagt haben? Die Integrität der Serie wahren. So ein Quatsch. Das Stanley Parable ist nicht heilig. Wir müssen es nicht schützen. Zum Teufel mit dem Vermächtnis. Machen wir weiter Stanley Parable Spiele, bis die Sonne explodiert. Fahren wir diese Serie voll gegen die Wand, ziehen wir sie durch den Dreck hin und her. Und wenn die Leute es hassen, wen juckt's? Schau, das war das Problem des Erzählers. Er war besessen davon, was andere über seine Arbeit dachten. Mach nicht denselben Fehler. Klammere dich nicht ans Vermächtnis. Lass es brennen. Es ist nicht schwer. Hier, ich zeig's dir. Zusammen machen wir das Stanley Parable 3. Es ist ganz leicht. Wir müssen nur die Zahl auf dem Titelbildschirm ändern. Und wir brauchen einen richtigen dämlichen Untertitel fürs Spiel. Irgendwas Lautes und Protziges. Na los, kombiniere irgendwelche zufälligen Wörter zu einem neuen Titel für unser Spiel. Das Stanley Parable 3. Angestellter der Telefonzelle. Angestellter der Gewinnerin, Angestellter der Klage, der Gifte, Angestellter der Steuererklärung. Das Stanley Parable 3, Angestellter der Steuererklärung. Es ist absurd, ich liebe es. Immer wenn du das Spiel neu startest, erhöhen wir die Zahl der Fortsetzungen um 1 und dann wählen wir einen neuen Untertitel. So wird Stanley Parable niemals enden. Und im Spiel selbst ändert sich auch nichts, wenn du das machst. Neue Inhalte hinzufügen hört sich nach Arbeit an, das ist nicht nötig. Es werden einfach immer dieselben Inhalte sein, immer wieder neu verwertet mit einem neuen Titelbildschirm. Was meinst du, sollen wir auf diesem Plan weitermachen? Mir gefällt er, aber ich will, dass du auch mitredest. Machen wir es. Gut, dann ist es entschieden, eine neue Fortsetzung, immer wenn du das Spiel startest. Und weißt du was? Weil du an meine Idee glaubst, will ich dir auch etwas geben. Weißt du, mir ist aufgefallen, dass der Erzähler nie einen Weg gefunden hat, dir den kaputten Erfolg zu verleihen, stimmt's? Natürlich nicht. Ich hätte es auch nicht erwartet, dass er wüsste wie. Das hat mich die ganze Zeit geärgert. Bringen wir es in Ordnung. So, das war's. Die Erfolgmaschine ist repariert. Siehst du, ich bin auf deiner Seite. Wir sitzen im selben Boot. Wir werden diese Räder in Bewegung halten. Das Stanley Parable kann nicht enden. Es kann sich nur für spiralförmig in sich selbst hineindrehen. Endlos. Ich muss das Rad am Laufen halten. Ich bin bereit. Bist du bereit? Toll. Wir müssen nur noch eine letzte Sache machen. Bitte gib die aktuelle Zeit ein. Natürlich machen wir das. Bitte passen die Regler so an, dass der Kabelklar gerade noch so sichtbar ist. Vielen Dank. Viel Spaß mit The Stanley Parable. The Stanley Parable 3, Angestellter der Steuererklärung. Geilo. Geilo.
This is the story of a...
Interessiert mich nicht.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed... It takes a lot of humility to carry a bucket so magnificent. Stanley checked his ego and then proceeded onward.
Wir gehen zum neuen Content.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra-deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra-deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2.
Aber wir sind doch schon in Teil 3.
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for. Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
Ja, wir haben jetzt nämlich die... Warte mal, wir können mal zum Eimer gehen und schauen, ob es einen zweiten Eimer gibt. Das wäre wild. Nein. Gibt's nicht.
Wait, there are 2 buckets here. How did you get a second bucket? Oh no, the warmth and comfort of a single bucket is already so great, so intoxicatingly wonderful. With 2 buckets, there's no telling. Stanley, can you still hear me? Are you with me? Stanley! Oh, thank God, I didn't lose you, Stanley. The power of 2 buckets was too much. I had to destroy both of them. I know how much the bucket meant to you, but I couldn't take the risk. I hope one day you can forgive me.
Vielleicht. Das war unerwartet. Dann schauen wir doch mal.
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with? You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Get Well Someday it is.
Damit hätten wir das geändert. Und jetzt holen wir uns mal das Achievement.
Now here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes, you see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as that. As you can see, the machine is not working yet since... What? Wait. What the hell is going on? You got the achievement?
Ja.
Why did the machine work? Stanley, I didn't fix it. I didn't do anything to it. I swear, it was broken just a second ago. Who fixed it? Oh, God. Composure? Composure. Yes, as you can see, the machine is working as normal, as I intended.
Na klar.
It truly speaks to the awe-inspiring magic of the Stanley Parable 2. Breathe. Just breathe. What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
Oh, schade. Keine Collectibles mehr.
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But all right, have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
Eigentlich nicht. Ich dachte, die Treppe führt noch woanders hin. Ich dachte, die Treppe führt woanders hin. Wir müssen mal gucken. Hier geht's nicht rein, ne? Nee, schade. Ja, Sprünge kriegen wir leider auch keine mehr. Zu schade. Unfassbar, ey. Dann wäre da noch der Button. Der ist bestimmt nicht mehr da. Also nach wie vor nicht mehr da.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized. Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim. Whoa, hold on. I wasn't finished setting up the backstory. If you don't properly roleplay as Jim, then you'll never understand the impact of this button. Otherwise, it's just a stupid button that says somebody else's name. Okay, we're doing it again, and this time let me finish first. Now, allow yourself to become Jim. All right, fine, whatever. It's just a meaningless button that says Jim. Are you happy now?
Yeah.
Get out of here. I'm done with this button. Why don't you go humiliate me in front of a different feature that I worked very hard on?
Gerne.
See, if you'd only played along, that would have been your name the button says. But no. Instead, I can't even think about it. I'm taking the Jim button away.
Okay, tschüss. Ich weiß, es gibt auch einen Button, der Stanley sagen kann, also bitte.
Maybe I'll only let people named Jim play the Stanley Parable 2. They would appreciate what I've created here. An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, it would go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
So. Hier oben, da gibt es nämlich den Einstellungen Weltmeister noch. Ist die Tür jetzt offen? Ist sie.
Aha! I can see you've gotten the Settings World Champion Achievement. Well done. You've experienced every setting, traveled to all corners of the settings menu. There's nothing you haven't seen. So, just for you, in the Stanley Parable 2, I'm including an entirely new setting, something called bumpscosity. What exactly is bumpscosity? Well, I haven't quite figured that part out yet, but I just know that you'll be able to adjust it on some sort of slider, and that it'll be available from the settings menu. We'll sort the rest of the details out later. I hope you're looking forward to trying out every level of bumpscosity in the Stanley Parable 2.
Auf jeden Fall. Ich finde ja persönlich, wenn die Entwickler nochmal was machen, dann finde ich ja persönlich, dann sollte es ein anderes Game sein, in einem ganz anderen Setting. Das kann ja von der Aufmachung her ähnlich sein. Auch wieder so ein Multiple-Enden-Ding. Aber es sollte dann auch nicht mehr The Stanley Parable sein. Es sollte irgendein anderer Charakter einfach sein. Man kann es ja trotzdem als Parabel bezeichnen, aber ja. So, also wir haben unser Achievement gekriegt und eigentlich haben wir dann alles, was wir hier wollten, ne? In dem Ding. Ich weiß, es gibt noch, die eine Sache, die müssen wir noch machen und dann gibt es nur noch 2 Achievements, die ich nicht im Game holen kann, sondern die ich dadurch holen kann, dass ich das Game nicht oder lange spiele oder wie auch immer. So, das heißt, wir gehen. Eigentlich können wir auch so gehen. Jetzt haben wir die
All of
anderen
his
Ballons.
co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Dubdidu. Ich muss. Was muss ich denn? Ach ja, genau. Ins Büro vom Boss.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Gut.
Here's the door, just go.
Nö. Sehr schön. Da war dieses Achievement. Und damit hat sich's. Oh, sehr cool, der kurze Weg sogar. Aber ja, das war es gewesen, Freunde der Sonne. Das war es gewesen mit Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. Das war doch mal ein Spaß, nicht wahr? Wir werden uns gleich noch überlegen, womit wir hier vielleicht noch ein bisschen Zeit verbringen können. Wir sind ja eigentlich noch nicht ganz am Ende oder so, oder ob wir heute früher Schluss machen. Aber zu YouTube sage ich trotzdem schon mal Tschüss, weil für euch ist die Folge jetzt natürlich vorbei. Es war jetzt wieder mal ein kurzes Game mit nur 2 Folgen. Und was zu trinken braucht man natürlich auch da. Denn verdursten kann man jederzeit. So sieht es nämlich aus. Genau. Ja, in dem Sinne. YouTube, schaut gerne live im Stream vorbei am Wochenende. Samstags und sonntags ab 16 Uhr. Twitch.tv/Stimmra_ und seid dann einfach live dabei bei was auch immer wir dann gerade zocken quasi. Was das ist, erfahrt ihr zum Beispiel auch in den Ankündigungen über die Stories auf Instagram. Genau, den Link dahin und auch zu Twitch findet ihr in der Videobeschreibung. Ne? Könnt ihr reingehen, könnt ihr rein followen, Glocken aktivieren und dann live vorbeischauen. Würde ich mich freuen. Und ansonsten tobt euch natürlich, ich kann nicht mehr sprechen, tobt euch natürlich auch gerne noch auf den Playlists auf meinem Kanal aus, auf YouTube hier. Da sind auch all die Spiele drauf, die wir schon gespielt haben oder gerade im Moment am Spielen sind sozusagen. Ne? Könnt ihr euch auch was rauspicken und ein paar Dinge angucken. So, jetzt erstmal YouTube. Bis zum nächsten Mal. So long.